Welcome to Syntropic Growers. This is Farmer Jones in video number 53, I think it is. And as promised, I was going to talk about eucalypts and just some techniques of cutting them down and what we could use them for in our syntropic systems. So initially, I just thought I'd do timber, and I was giving it 20 years, which means that I would be 75 when I'll be cutting these logs down. And I used to be a cabinet maker in a past life, so I'm planting some timber varieties that I knew were valuable. Then after a while, pruning and the hard work getting to me, even at my age, I thought, am I really going to be cutting down timber logs and milling them on site, machining them in my garage, making coffee tables at 75? Well, that's ambitious, let's just say that. Some of us are in nursing homes drooling at 70, aren't we? So I thought, maybe let's change our thinking a little bit. So we've realised that dragon fruits are very valuable on our place. They grow well, nothing attacks them. We get $5 a fruit sometimes. We absolutely love the fruit. So we decided to go along and tie dragon fruits to our eucalypts and our silky oaks. And the reason for that is because in the Philippines and Thailand, where I've travelled and I've had a look at dragon fruit farms, they usually use a concrete post, and sometimes they do a bit of rebar at the top and a split tyre for the dragon fruits to grow through. And I still like that idea, but in Australia those concrete posts could be $40, $50. So with the hundreds that we're planting, it's just not tenable. So why not use the permanent living poles as a dragon fruit pole? What you could do is cut them off here and coach bolt down an X and wire half a tyre or a split tyre to the top and let the dragon fruits climb up, and then go through the tyre and just hang down. And so I thought, well, this suits us, we'll do that. But in the meantime, what are we doing with the eucalypts at this stage? So these silky oak and the gums we're doing are about 3.5 years old. And I'd say they're probably roughly 5 metres. And we've even got some up there. That's nothing, 10, 12 metres. And that species of eucalypt is an absolute beauty. I'm pretty sure it's Sydney blue gum, very fast. If you turn around and have a look at those ones up along the fence line, they are Eucalyptus grandis. That tree is actually 3 years old. We planted them for a windbreak. Now that's incredible to see that growth in 3.5 years old. So they're also another favourite of ours. And you can see the amount of biomass that tree produces. In certain parts of northern New South Wales, where they come from, they put on 1 metre a year. It's one of the fastest growing eucalypts in the world. So when you're going down to Landcare and buying your eucalypts for your system, try and pick the fastest growing ones and ones that do well in your area. So just look around at what's endemic to your area, and they'll do the best for you. A lot of the great ones are give you messmates. We've tried a number of eucalypts and some have not been successful. Citronella corymbia citronella is not a good one. It doesn't like it here. But it just depends on where you are. So, and now techniques to cutting. Oh, well, let's get back to why do we plant eucalypts in syntropic systems. So let's remind people that this is a very difficult concept for people starting out in syntropics to understand. Primary concern, the oil that the trees drop in designed to sterilise the ground around them, and that can be toxic to some competing species. The answer to that is that you never let it get to that stage. They're pollarded at the top, which means just a straight cut with some leaves underneath to continue to encourage growth, and they are never usually let go past 6 metres in most syntropic systems. But in our case, we don't like ladders, so we're even going to go shorter than that. But in the interim, another thing that we've discovered is passion fruits love climbing up these eucalypt trees. So passion fruits are good for about 3 years. So we thought we'd also grow passion fruits up these eucalypt trees. And that's the plan this spring. Bring in some professional Panama passion fruit plants. We've got a lot of wild ones that are growing over there. I've showed you those in past videos. It's the birds and the mice plant them. And they love climbing up eucalypt trees and mulberry and all sorts of other trees. So we thought we'll plant the dragon fruit on one side and the passion fruit on the other. And then we'll leave the branches mid-range for the passion fruits to climb up into. Which means at this stage, we want to top these trees, which I've done already along this row, around about the 5 metre mark. And that means it gives plenty of scope for the passion fruits to reach up into the sun. Now, as you know, I've mentioned in many past videos that I hate ladders. And so I've decided that this here is the best tool possible. This is a little battery powered pole saw. It's probably about 1.8, let's say 2. It's about 2.5 metres tall. And when you stand up on the ground here, you can probably reach at full stretch, maybe about 4 metres perhaps. So I've been pollarding the trees here like that. And it's been a really good tool. I certainly recommend it. Let's have a go. How easy is that? So at this stage, I'm going to leave the foliage there in the tree, just to encourage growth. And of course, those of you who know or have looked into it, when you pollard a tree, it encourages fattening the stem, and that's what we want. So this tree will support a beautiful passion fruit plant, and it will also give a chance for the dragon fruit to get up to around about the height that I'm comfortable with, chainsawing it off. Let's have a look at a heavier tree. Look at this magnificent stem. Getting closer. This beauty here in 3.5 years is 12 metres tall. So I lost the tags. I'm pretty sure it's Cindy Blue Gum. I've got to get it identified. I can't remember what the punt of seedlings were, but this particular tree is an absolute winner. Now this particular stem is ready to support a half tie and some timber at the top as a proper dragon fruit pole. So the beautiful thing about this is a permanent living pole, and yeah, you might get some afros come back, but you can clip them back. But the important thing is, because it's alive, you're not going to get termite damage. And hopefully this thing will live for years. Now that just saved me $50 in terms of a concrete pole, or one of those, some passion fruit farms use treated pine, which I don't like. I don't want that in my system. It's full of arsenic. So this will make the perfect living passion fruit pole. I'll end up cutting it up there where I'm comfortable. I don't want to go up too much higher. And around there, and just let that fall over. Like a timber X, where you can even use rebar if you wanted to, and coach bolt that down. Probably treated timber is the best. And then I'll split a tyre right through the middle with an angle grinder. Sit the tyre over the top of the timber, making sure that the timber just tucks in under the curved part. And then you can just wire the tyre onto the Timber X. And that will be a beautiful, perfect dragon fruit pole. And then you let them come through the tyre and come down just off the ground. You let them grow their arms and legs off here. You can even plant 3 or 4 of these dragon fruits and let them wind up until they come up through the tyre. So my next job is to cut that down. I don't want to do it in front of the camera. I might end up killing the camera woman. It's not a good idea because she cooks my dinner. But there's an example of, you need to be flexible with your thinking. You need to be realistic. You know, are you really going to be around in 20 years to harvest these as timber logs? You got to think about safety. For example, when you're cutting up, there's a lot of stuff falling down into your eyes. You really should be wearing some safety gear, some gloves, good boots, and don't, for the love of God, get up on ladders if you can avoid it. I just don't think it's necessary. No matter what our hobby is, it's not worth dying for or injuring yourself for. So stay off the ladders. Use the poles. Use the little small arborist saws that I've shown you before. Use the shears to take off some of the branches. And just over the branches, when you do, just cut the branches off, you know, say a couple of hundred wide or a foot wide, long, so that the passion fruits have something to climb up, kind of like a ladder. So even at this point, you can leave the branches on at least that high, that long, and that will help the passion fruits wind up the tree. So if that's helpful to you, please leave comments and like and subscribe at the bottom of the video, of course. And if you have any suggestions on fantastic eucalypt species to suggest to our members of the channel, please do so, and what's worked well for you. We've used silky oak here a lot too, which is those trees here. And these are native to our area, so they're bulletproof. But they're a little bit skinny. They took a little bit longer to grow than some of these eucalypts that we've planted, but they'll still do the job. The great thing about them is they drop their foliage. Another thing I forgot to mention is another reason why we put eucalypts into a syntropic system is they are known to send a taproot down to table water, underground water, up to 20 metres. And that means that they're sucking or bringing water up from the underground table water, and you're expressing it through chopping and dropping the foliage. So they almost are acting as a form of hydrology, and it drought-proofs your system. It's bringing water up from underground, deep underground, and expressing itself in your system. There was almost like a free pump, if you will. The other reason we put these in, and why Ernst Gotch recommended them, is that they grow so fast. Number 2, they're indestructible. If you've been in Australia and gone through an area that's had a bushfire, it looks like Armageddon. But yet 6 months to a year later, the place is just greened up again like nothing happened. So they bounce back from fire, drought. They're absolutely drought proof. You can chop these things and wound them and prune them as much as you want, and they'll continue to grow back forever. So they really are a species that integrates resilience into your system, strength and resilience, and anchors it in the macroorganism. So Ernst's really keen on eucalypts, and they're not native to Brazil, but they grow extremely well there. And just remember that don't be scared of the allelopathic oil qualities of the eucalypts. You just never let it get to that point. The tree only drops oil when it's got seeds, or it's dropping seeds, and the mama tree is sterilising the ground around her so her babies can grow. Radiata pines do something different, something similar, excuse me. But we're using them for a different purpose here. So don't be scared. Every 2 metres I have a euc in my system, and it's been fine so far. The only problem is they get a little bit too tall too fast and a little bit too scary to cut down. So don't let it get to 12 metres like this guy. it's something that you're just going to have to adapt your mind to. There's a lot of resistance to having eucalyptus. It took me 1 year to accept this idea before I took the leap, but I don't regret it, and so far it's worked really well. And I've got my free dragon fruit poles and my free dragon passion fruit stands. So anyway, we'll see you on the next video. Over and out from Farmer Jones.